Hey, it works. Well, how about that? That's crazy. Okay. I'm gonna give a little bit for some people to come into the room. Hopefully there's not too many of you. I'm almost scared to even ask. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if I can bring this into view. Maybe. This may be clearer than the way I was going to do it. Oh yeah, that might work. Okay. Let's see if we can't view something then. And the was a lot, bro. Okay. Alright, so check this out, people. I'm going to dispel some rumors. I'm also going to talk about what's fact, and they're not going to give us any more information on this, but I believe I've got enough to get us by. Let me see if I can move this over another way too, so that wire's not upsetting things in the view. Okay, I'll give a little bit of time for some people to get into the room. I'm gonna try to keep this thing up and going, and I gotta put a power wire into that. There's no doubt in my mind it's gonna die if I don't. By the time I'm done. And let's see, I'm getting comments. Yo, yeah. So, I've done turned it a little bit odd for the camera, but it looks straight enough down here. Yeah, I might have to. Let's see if I can clear this by zooming a little bit. Maybe not. Okay. I'm gonna need a little bit of light in here, and let's see if that affects it. Maybe. Alright, this just might work. I'm tethering one device off another. I wanted to have my laptop and have these photos on there. I'll do that later, but I don't have time to fight with that laptop. So here's what I got going on here for the intel on the sub that caught on fire in Russia. Let's see, I gotta come in. Yeah, speak Indonesian, please. I wish I could, brother. Okay. So, all right, to start out with, initially there were reports that have not been confirmed or denied or anything, so we're just going to have to call all that rumor. There's a Israeli website that service members of the Israeli Army post stuff to all the time, okay? And they a lot of times are breaking news, and so people like it and they trust it. The problem is it could just be some guy that was in the Israeli army that decided to get drunk and pop off his mouth about something. And the United States has said that they've accounted for all their vessels, that they're not missing any, as far as their, people that have asked them. That's what was said. So I will tell you that the name of the Israeli rumor mill site, I'll call it, is debka.com or debka file. Only the file's not found. It's like an error because it don't give you an error. I'm just saying someone saw it on there and then they took it down. There was something on there, and they were trying to say that there was a fight between a couple of ships, and it just it didn't. We can go on to the next one. It didn't hold muster. Didn't pass muster. So, maybe my brightness is going to be too bright on this. Let's see if I can drop this down. Might save me on battery anyways, which I'll be fighting. But you can go there and you can check it out, but there's nothing there anymore. I had the pictures on this device, which is why I'm trying to tether everything, and So this right here, let me get to it here. The ship that they want to, that they originally said the AS-12, if it's the AS-12, it's the Losharik. All right, I'm saying, it's saying bad connection. This is the Losharik. That is very Russian, so sorry for that. So if you need more on this, you can screenshot it maybe. Let me see if I can tilt it. That's it with all of its accoutrements and toys, and it kind of shows, well, shows which one of those pods has nuclear in it. It's people, nuclear, and gears. That's only 6. It was supposed to be a 7 pod. So this saying the AS-12 may be a little bit off on this schematic, but below it you can see that extra drone thing tethered on a cable and another thing that drops down. This thing was made to spy. It's what it was designed to do. So I'm gonna plug this up down here. I'll leave it down here for a second. We will talk about it. It's a little bit difficult for me to like I said, with the information that I have. I appreciate the like. The information that I have on this is like I said, it's a little bit difficult for me to give you any more than what I already have, except that I've dispelled the rumors, found out where they came from in the first place. Then when you go further, it makes sense that the sub did have a problem in the Barents Sea. That's the same place that the Kursk had its problem, where the torpedo went off, and they're in and out of that place. That's a base up there they use, and they said it was a they said it was a, like a, what did they call it, like a almost like a lockdown base. I took that to mean that it was closed or an older Soviet one, but it's not. It's actually that is their port where they get all these subs out of. Now here's the thing. They said that the people who did die on that sub from the fire was from breathing in, they said, combustible gases. So here's the thing. If it's a nuclear sub, about the only way I can think to have a combustible gas is if there was a problem where there was a leak, and maybe hydrogen. Okay, it's combustible. It'll also kill you if you don't have oxygen. What happened was they got one guy that was a civilian contractor out of the fire zone of it, and then they locked down the doors and insulated themselves from the fire. Those people continued to fight the fire in there, but then they died of not just asphyxiation, but they said from death from those chemicals, or a chemical. Okay, so here, if you look at it on a timeline, let's start with a timeline, and I'll go to the next photo. These are all the people, by the way, that they're saying was on it. Okay. I will say this. I'm not going to read all of their names. There was a crew of 25 that they originally said that they thought all of them were dead. They originally reported that. Then later they found out that only 14 died, and the rest of them, put the fire out and saved the ship and stuff. So if we go as much of a timeline as I can throw together, which first I wanted to find that here. 1 second, as I wrote that down. Where did I write that down? Bear with me, people. It's been a day. Okay. That was per strand. That was that story. And that was about the Debka file. bear with me. I'll get to the name of the captain in a bit. Here's what I'm going to go into. Okay. All right. So Russia realized that they had. I'll go on to the next slide here. And I guess it's hard to tell. It's hard to see it, but maybe go to the next one here so you can see that's supposedly a picture of it. Okay. Basically, when Russia found out that they had a sub that had a problem, they called Strand, this guy, last name Strand, okay, and I wrote down his first name too here if I can find it. It's probably on this one here. Okay, till I see his first name, we'll go with Strand. Oh, Per Strand, that was his name, Per Strand, P-E-R, Per Strand. Okay, he is a director at the Norwegian Radiation and Nuclear Safety Authority. Okay, he gets a phone call from Russian officials that says that there was a gas explosion on board one of their subs. A gas explosion, that's what he was told. Then he was told to to monitor and see if there's any he's supposed to be letting known, hey, there may be a radiation situation. We do have a nuclear sub, so I guess they're supposed to notify him. And Norway comes all up across the top of Russia and right over to where that sea is. So it made sense that they would notify them. So Russia notifies this guy, Per Strand, and he starts to see if he can detect any radiation. Now here's the thing. He then contacts Reuters news service and tells them that the answer given to him after queries on it or whatever, because he was told to measure for any kind of nuclear levels, high radiation levels, was that there was a gas explosion. Later, Russia denied that. Okay? They said there was no explosion, there was just a fire. Okay, so let's just go with it. There was an explosion because he called Reuters after they told him that. Now, Strand said that he said this. He said, "We have made checks and we are not monitoring too high radiation levels in the area." Now, too high doesn't mean there's no radiation. It means they're not detecting too high radiation levels. Okay? So, that's telling. And there are rumors, I don't know how to validate this or if we'll ever get any word on this, that a U.S. satellite, and I didn't know they could detect this from space, but detected radiation, that there was a leak. So you have an explosion, you have likely, possibly, a radiation leak, because it wasn't detected as too high levels, but it doesn't say it wasn't detected. And you have a guy that gets called by Russian officials that says, like I said, there was an explosion. So, can't confirm the satellite, the U.S. satellite, but we'll go from there. We're trying to create a timeline here. So, at that point, they said that the 14 that died fighting the fire, and they locked the door behind them because they closed up all of those separate compartments in the sub. Now, this is a good picture of it too. I've got so many pictures in this. That's why I wanted to put it on my laptop. Okay, it's under here. It's the little one. So, and I will explain this real quick. I'll get into this. Okay, I'm going to give you the designation and all about it. The one on the bottom is the sub that they said that's the AS. I know it, but I just want to make sure I say this correctly. Okay, the Losharik. At first, they didn't say it was the Losharik. They just said the AS-12. Okay, that's the little sub under here is the AS-12. But its full name. Okay, let's get this straight here. Let me get this straight. Okay, yeah, that's this one. All right. The Losharik is the small sub underneath here, and it rides tethered by straps to a mother sub. It doesn't just go where it wants to go. This takes it where it wants to go, then it'll drop down for deep sea, and then it'll come back up. It's a nuclear sub, and that's a nuclear sub. Okay? So, the Losharik, this little sub here, was also originally known as Project 10831 and factory number 210. Okay? And its range, some people have said it was 3,300 feet. Some people have said it's 10,000 feet. I've seen where it's up to 13,000 feet. In 2012, this little sub here went down and collected samples off the sea floor at 8,202 feet. That was confirmed. So they've been down to 8,202 feet. And it's a spy sub, and it's designed because it also has another sub under it that can go down, kind of like Jason Jr., like the other, like Ballard's ones that went into the Titanic. He had that other sub that went in there. It has another one, and it has the ability to, well, possibly plant mines that go down on the ground down there, but also to listen in on, or even to cut our worldwide internet cables and telecommunication cables, phone cables that are undersea, the undersea cables. Okay, so that being said about Losharik, let's go to the mothership, because here's the tricky part. There's been word that the ship that brought the Losharik in, the word was that it was the BS-64. The problem with that is the BS-64 is the Podmoskovye, Podmoskove, Kovye, Podmoskovye. So the Podmoskovye is the BS-64, okay? This one and its mothership, normally this has always carried this one, okay? The mothership that came with it, because it's like a match set, is a Delta class. Orenburg is the name of the ship. Delta, I'm sorry, it's not Delta, it's Delta, something like that. 3 class. Orenburg is the name of this mothership, Orenburg, and its designation is the BS-136. So if the BS-136, okay, took this Losharik, which is the AS-12, out there, and the damage that I've seen in a picture looks almost like it'd be this mothership rather than that one. They said it was this one that had the damage. However, I've seen a picture that almost looks like the big one was damaged, and it's all muddy now. Here's why. If something happened to this little ship, the mothership could take it back in, but if something happened to the mothership, you'd need a whole nother ship to come and get this one. And that could have been why the BS-64 Podmoskovye was there. Maybe it went to pick up the small Losharik and then help limp this one in, if this one was the one that was hit. So usually and always, this one rides with this one. So its mothership might have been the one that was damaged. I don't know. Here's where I'm at on this. This little one could have been out there planting mines, and one of them could have blown up outside the ship. It could have had mines in it, and one of them could have blown up. They said there was a gas explosion. Okay. Maybe there was a problem with the reactor and it let off gas. I don't know. What I do know is there was another sub that accidentally shot off a torpedo. And I don't know if they ever got that one or not. Maybe they went out there on a special mission to retrieve that other torpedo, or to put one of the mines this thing can put out on it and blow it up. And maybe a blast in some of the metal either come up and hit it or come up and hit this one, whichever one was damaged. Maybe that's what caused it. Maybe they shot themselves in a way. I can't confirm that. I don't know. But it was loaded up with high-ranking officers. And it's all really odd. So this one here, if it did come in with that other ship, like I said, there could have been 3 of them at that point. Somehow, though, they were able to close off the part of the sub that was on fire. The reason why I'm leaning towards it could even be this is only for one reason, and one reason alone. This guy puts up a video, and he says, hey, he says, the picture that I saw doesn't look like any kind of a fire would have caused it. He says it looks like an explosion. So if we're working on the hypothesis of it being an explosion, then we might have some more intel. It could be a different picture of a different submarine. They have damages on them all the time. However, this guy puts up this video, and just at the back of it, he says, hey, I'll try to figure out how to drop a picture. I'll give you a link to his video, and you can make your own decision up of what you think. But this is what he puts up, and he says, that don't look like damage of a fire to me. And I agree with him, but that don't look like the Losharik. That looks like the mothership. So if the Losharik is still in working order, perhaps they played leapfrog with which one was damaged to make us think that their super spy ship that can go really deep was no longer in service. Maybe the class 3 is the one that was damaged. But he's right, and if that's the correct picture, and I've not found this anywhere else on the internet, people, I'll put a link to his video. If that's the correct picture, that does not look like fire damage to me either. You can still shot that, do the best you can. I was going to put it up as the video's picture, but had a problem and it wouldn't do the file, so I don't know what kind of picture went up on this live. Does that look like fire damage to you people? I'm in agreement with him, but that also doesn't look like the Losharik to me, but I could be wrong about that also. Either way, they reported it to the nuclear, the guy that, you know, that basically tests for radiation in that area. You see what I'm saying? And Shannon, I see a hey man, and Hatches, yeah. So there you go. I'll put a link up to his video. If that's the Losharik, this is the only picture I've seen on the internet of it after it was damaged. I got a few before. That railing doesn't look familiar. This looks like it could just be a picture of one of the subs that's in the bay that was sitting there, that they're all rusting there. I could, like I said, he said that, you know, he said that this is, you know, he said that's the picture that he saw. So anyways, I'm going to go back to a couple of my photos, and I'll go through the timeline again. I mean, some more of the timeline. And I won't be much longer here. But I am going to show you a couple of other things too. And this is a picture, and I don't speak Russian again. It's just another another picture that I wound up with. Okay, with the sub itself. That is the Losharik, and all kinds of designation. And like I said, it's in Russian. It's gonna be difficult. Like I said, I'll get my laptop going, and but there you go. So that is the sub in question, and I'll show you something that'll pick up better. Oh, and this one shows the balls. How it's made. Those are titanium. Okay. And they locked off a couple of them, and you know, those guys died fighting the fire in there, but I'm sure it, you know, killed it out when there was no oxygen. But they were saying explosion at first, and then they backed from that. They backed away from that. So I'm gonna put this up there. It's kind of like I said, it's kind of a muddy story here. Let's see if I can put that back in there. There we go. That should work. All right. So a couple other things here. All right, we'll talk about this. It was designed originally in 1988. Then on July 16th of 1990, it was launched. And then it, you know, let's see. Wait, let me get this straight here. 88. No. Hold on a second here. It was designed in 1988. They started on, I guess, July 16th, 1990. From that, launched the 26th of August 1995, and actually entered into real service in 1997. The displacement is less than 1,000 tons is what they're saying here, but I had another one, and it's got I guess a twin called the WhiteSalmon that goes a kilometer deep. It only goes a kilometer deep is what they're saying. I'd say maybe it's a smaller twin because it's got the same bubble type of situation in the WhiteSalmon. So this is not the only one they have of this one. And then there's another one that I've got a couple of names of some other ones. There's a AS-12 that only has a crew of 5 people. Okay, the AS-12. So you might hear about the AS-28 in the future. But it has to be a modified I want to say the Delta. It's not Delta, it's supposed to be like Delta 3 class, and the Orenburg BS-136 is the one that was originally designed to go with it, but the BS-64 could carry it because it's also a modified Delta 3 class sub. So, and I could be saying the Delta part wrong, but it was developed over 15 years starting in 1988, and the project name for the Orenburg was 667 BDRM Delphin class. That's what it is. Delphin class is what they were saying. That's the mothership submarine, and it's designated. Another one is the BS-64. That's the Podmoskovye, and so they've got 2 or 3 different ships that can go and haul it, and so I'll get into this a little bit more too. All right, let's see here. All right, here's the thing. They're saying that it doesn't have any arms on board, no weapons. Okay, they're saying it has no weapons on board. If that's true, then that makes it even more likely that they were messing with a mine or something that would have blown it up, or if it actually was the mothership that was damaged. But originally, the first Russian newspaper to report on it said that it was a fire On the AS-12, they didn't mention the name Losharik, and they said that all 25 had been killed. So maybe they knew about the radiation leak and knew that they would have been killed. I don't know, but I think that a few more had died on the way to or in the hospital. They're in the hospital getting treatment, and I don't know. I think it's at least 15 now. Maybe it could even be all of them. They're keeping tight-lipped on this. They did put out the pictures though, for in Russia, of all of the people that were on board and that were involved, and that's what that other picture was that I had up. This one. This is what they put up. So that's 14 right there. And I know you can't see them all, but that is 14, and that's what they had. So let's see here. I'll put it back here. All right. So you got a story where the Russian Defense Ministry calls up and says there was an explosion and you need to know that it might be a radiation leak, check for any levels. That guy calls Reuters. Then they back it up and say, no, we never told him there was an explosion, it was a fire. He's checking for levels, and he says he doesn't come up with any dangerously high levels, or extremely high levels is what he says, but doesn't say there's no levels at all. There's levels. Rumors of a satellite picking it up. And it was towed, and this was in the Barents Sea, it was towed by the next day to a place that looked to be maybe, I don't know how long it would take for them to get there, 5 or 8 hours with a ship that's, blown up like that and messed up like that. So here's the thing. Any thought of this being in Alaska or anywhere near Alaska would be ridiculous, because it would take so long to tow back a ship or have one right beside you or whatever, in any way that had damage to it and was holding water. It would be a lot longer, and you'd want to be careful with it anyways. It's a nuclear sub, so I think that I think it was pretty much where they said it was. I think it was down, probably either placing mines near the lines, near the phone and internet undersea cables, or down there just place them along. There's some kind of a thing that they're wanting to put a perimeter, I guess, around their place, and then they can set it off for any time they want to. These are mines that go down on the floor, ocean floor, and then they'll come up at any time that they tell them to. They could just as easily mine the lines, and then they could cut it off instead of having to go down there and then do it. So I think they were going after that other missile because there was some kind of a special, really fast, kind of like a cruise missile, underwater missile that goes really fast, something like I don't know how many, a lot of knots, and they didn't want the U.S. to get their hands on it, so I don't know that they recovered it, and this might have been a mission to go get it. And maybe they figured they couldn't get it, or it was at a bad angle on the floor or something like that, and maybe they put a mine out to blow it up, and they weren't maybe far enough away when it went off. That's just what I'm speculating. This is all opinion at this point, simply because they're not giving any more information. But it could absolutely be feasible and be what happened. Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. But if they didn't have torpedoes on there, something caused that, and I'll put a link up to that guy's video. But they're doing an investigation on it and all that, and it was a crew of 25, at least 14 to 15. They said 14 on that, at that time, but someone else had said 15, and I've heard that some other ones had already passed away too, so I don't know about the rest of them. They've had a lot of these subs that have gone down, and so let's see here. That was something else I was going to bring up besides the fact that there's a WhiteSalmon and a AS-28 that only holds 5 people, and it can do the same thing. They're made to go deep, just like when Ballard went after the the Titanic. They have to be a bit smaller so they won't crush. Let's see here. All right. So, oh, that's right. I'm gonna play that video in a second. And Murmansk, Russia is close to there, and that's where they have, I believe it's the tower of the Kursk, that they're making a memorial, and then they had fresh flowers on it. I think it was even maybe the annual, maybe it had been a year since that had happened. But let's see here. And here's the thing, Russia just actually backed out of the nuclear treaty. That was the one that we were threatening to back out of if they didn't do whatever, and he officially signed into law that he got out of that. So let's see here. I'll get your comments real quick though, and then I'm gonna go to this video because I'm gonna find the video real quick, and then I'll play this couple quick videos and I'm gonna get off this thing. Let's see here. You will want to see this though, because one of them is the, let's see here. Let's just have updates. That one, Sky News Live. Russia officially withdraws from, I was just talking about this, so we're going to pause this and get the audio right. Let's see. Hold tight. Let me do this. Go to Bluetooth, and then let's see if I can fix this. Right, and let's go to front. All right, what are they doing here?
RT Sarah Montez de Oka joins me with the details. Sarah, this is very scary stuff. Anytime you mention the word nuclear...
Hang on 1 second, because that was way too loud. I've got to do something about that really fast.
Disarmament, anything that has to do with nuclear bombs. Definitely a serious issue we're talking about. But does this
all right, so I went back to the back. Let's do this again.
Not necessarily, Scotty. Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a bill.
I'll rewind this. Hold tight, people.
In the intermediate range nuclear
Let's do this
forces
again.
treaty.
All right, here we go.
Cold War era Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty has been in limbo. Now, this has been since the U.S. threatened to pull out of the agreement in February. But today marks another step. I don't know if it's necessarily a good one, but we're going to find out, because this is where Moscow has taken action, signing legislation that suspends the country's participation. RT Sarah Montez de Oka joins me with the details. Sarah, this is very scary stuff. Anytime you mention the word nuclear disarmament, anything that has to do with nuclear bombs, definitely a serious issue we're talking about. But does this mean a nuclear bomb is being built right now as we speak?
Well, not necessarily, Scotty. Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a bill suspending Russia's participation in the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. Now, President Trump announced he planned to exit the pact last October, but the U.S. began accusing Russia of breaking the INF treaty since 2014. Peter Kuznick spoke to RT earlier today and said this doesn't come as a surprise.
Back in March, Putin said that if the U.S. withdrew, then Russia will withdraw also. He signed a decree at that point. Last week, the Russian Senate voted 148-0 to uphold that decree, and now that's what Putin just signed into law. So we knew this was coming.
The U.S. suspended its liabilities under the pivotal nuclear arms deal in February of this year, and Trump threatened to quit the treaty and gave Russia 6 months to return to compliance of that agreement. But Russia has denied any breaches. But later they followed suit and accused the U.S. of breaking the accord, a claim Washington has rejected. The U.S. claims that Russia has long-range ground-based cruise missile systems, the 9M729, which they say don't abide to the limited range permitted under the treaty. And earlier this year, Russia presented evidence contrary to the U.S. claim that the missile violates terms under the INF. Americans had been invited to the event but didn't show up. The INF treaty, signed in 1987, was a cornerstone to global security and prohibits the production of testing of ground-launched cruise missiles with a range of 300 to 3,400 miles. Now, the agreement forced both countries to destroy thousands of missiles at the time.
They go like 550
This also comes at a time when another arms deal between the U.S. and Russia is about to expire.
The danger is that there's one piece left of the arms control architecture, and that's the New START Treaty, and that expires in February of 2021. And if that is withdrawn, if that fails,
so
it's not renewed, then
we're going to stop them right there, because this is RT propaganda for Russia. It's Russian television. They own it, and I really don't like repping them. I'm going to put a link up to this, and you can watch the rest of it if you just really want to be brainwashed like that. But they get no time on mine. But I will let this play, because this is their guy. I'll play both of these in a row. These two.
И сначала самая последняя информация о трагедии в Баренцевом море. При пожаре на научно-исследовательском аппарате моряки-подводники в первую очередь спасли из горящего отсека гражданского специалиста. Затем задрали за ним люк.
Let's do this. Let's make this a little bit better, as best as I can. We'll try this again, and I'll first, the most recent information about the tragedy in the Barents Sea during a fire aboard a research submarine. The first person to be saved by the submarine crew was a civilian specialist. The crew proceeded to seal off the hatch to prevent the fire from spreading. Defense Minister of Russia Sergei Soyuz shared the information where he held a meeting of the investigation of the incident. We expect to get all the details from our reporter Andrei Gorgiev. Okay, so basically what he says is what he just said is what this guy's going to say. So the defense minister is up there, the Northern Fleet, commander of the Russian Navy, Admiral Ivanov. So he had a meeting regarding the incident. The meeting was closed, but some details poured into the media. And let's hear what defense manager said at the beginning of the meeting. Basically all he said was that they was going to investigate. I'm going to go to the next one here.
Saving colleagues and a civilian expert on board when their deep-sea vessel caught fire on Monday. Our senior correspondent Murad Gazdia visited the city of Murmansk, close to where the tragedy occurred. Murad, what's the mood like in the city today?
Him, I'll wait till it goes to him.
Well, to be honest with you, it is gloom.
Okay, if you remember the Kursk, it's my understanding that this badge was on the front of the Kursk. And this may very well be the tower or pieces of it. I believe they cut it off and set it there and made it a memorial.
It's in the air here. The entire city is traumatized. Russians especially are very sensitive to disasters at sea, and this was a catastrophe. 14
They're putting flowers on it.
Sailors, 14 high-ranked sailors, professionals, career officers.
But since they don't have a memorial to this new one, they're going there.
Deep-sea scientific research vessel that caught fire undersea in the Barents Sea, just off the coast of
These
Murmansk.
are the pictures
You'll be hard-pressed to find a family here in Murmansk.
I'll put the link up to
300,000 people without a relative who's a sailor, who's in the Russian Navy. So you know, it really hits close to home. Just behind us, there's a commemorative service held earlier today. The names and ranks of all the officers have been published. 7 of them captains, first rank, one of the most senior officer positions in the Russian Navy.
We've 2 of them got the Hero of Russia medals.
All over the world. Even the Pope has expressed his condolences to all those who died, who suffered in this unfortunate accident. Theresa May, the Prime Minister of the UK, also sent her condolences. It really was a very painful experience for the entire city, for all of Russia. Churches across the country have welcomed people, laying flowers, you know, offering their condolences. Nevertheless, we've learned a few details about what happened exactly. This deep sea research vessel was conducting research, studying the hydrosphere in Russian territorial waters off the coast of Murmansk. Murmansk in the Barents Sea when a fire began in one of the compartments. The crew apparently acted heroically. When the fire began, they evacuated an industry representative, a civilian who was abroad. They shut the hatch behind him and continued to fight the fire. 14 people died apparently from asphyxiation from the gases.
All right, I'm gonna pause this because there's more in the hospital. This was earlier, this was yesterday. So here's the thing. Okay, actually, it was a spy sub and they were down there listening on the undersea cables, maybe even setting up to cut them. It's designed so that it can do that, and so it can do espionage, and so it can attack other subs, because if that sub comes up on your sub, you're thinking it's just one vehicle, it's hiding underneath, it sneaks off and attacks you at a different angle. So even if it didn't have what they would call a weapon, it in itself is a weapon. And it's also got this other little drone thing that goes up under it, and it can dive deep. So I'm going to make sure I brought everything up here that I was going to, and then let's see here. Losharik. Okay, yeah, I'm going to find a link to the one that accidentally shot off its missile, and I'm going to see if they actually got that back, or maybe if that's the one that did that damage. And like I said, I haven't seen that picture anywhere else on the internet, period. But all these other pictures, you would not believe what's on Twitter, people. All the pictures I've seen and people putting all the intel that they know about this super secret ship, it's not super secret. Like, they've said that it's classified. They're not going to talk about the name of it. They're not going to show you the pictures I showed. They're not going to talk about the dimensions. They're not going to talk about how deep it'll go, which could be as much as 12,000 feet, which is crazy deep. So I'll go back to the pictures and I'll go through them real quick, and then at that point I'll get off this thing. And I am going to check your comments. I'm sorry I haven't this, like I said, that is the actual project 10831 Losharik, and it's actually its ID number from the factory is 210. I found that out too. That's a photo of it. You can screenshot that. That is another schematic of what all it can do, and it was written in very Russian, and these are people down here, I guess, but it goes so deep that the people couldn't go that deep. This one less place here, but that's where I guess the nuclear is, right there. And that's the crew. They were saying it was the crew of that other ship, which threw me off. So let's see here. That's the FY 1822 maritime sub. Oh, this was this one. That one right there. Let's see if I can make it work better. Maybe not. I will do a live where I can do these on a laptop. And then that's the sub in the water. I had to use this other device to even do this. I'm not sure if that's the sub or not. Looks like it's next to a pier, so it could be. And then that is the sub with its parent. That's a model of it. So that is the Losharik AS-12, and let's see here, it's with the Orenburg BS-136, but also if it came back on the BS-64 Podmoskovye, then maybe it was actually the Orenburg that got damaged. See, that's why it's all muddy. That's why the waters are muddy here. And then this is another shot of it. So, and they said there was some kind of a magazine that and this is what I wanted to show too. This is all of the undersea lines under the ocean. Well, let's see here. They put this up on Twitter. It may not show up. It's just going to be difficult because it's so bright. All the undersea cables, yeah, you can't even see half of them. Let me try to dim this down. I'll fix that. Settings, display, turn the brightness on down. And I'm not trying to be rude, I was just trying to get through this. It's been a long day, but I want to read your comments, but there we go, undersea cables. Bring it to you people. You can screenshot that in case you want to track where that other sub's going to be at, the one that holds 5 people, if it's still working. I'm sure they'll be all over that. You know, they like to play up in here. Like I said, they probably was over in here and listening to cables, and then they went back and had the problem or whatever they did. You know, maybe they were looking for that missile that got shot off by accident. It is hard to know. So I'll get into your comments, and let's see here. Okay, because I missed every comment ever commented. Sorry about that. So let's see. Yo, speaking Indonesian. Yeah, I told you I couldn't do that. Thanks for the info. Great info as always. Yeah, thank you, Gordon and Roxanne. Driver, we need your DNA so we can clone you. Man, if you do, golly, let me run teams. I'll make more money. It'd be a little less work for me. Shannon Bear, hey man, hatches, no. Yep, that one. Yeah, that went boom. That's what I'm thinking too. You're breaking up, brother. Maybe I was breaking up. Timothy, let's see here. In order to clone you, we'll need your C. You'll have the bots driving trucks soon. Yeah, that's so fake too. You know I'm all over that. We're going to tear a new one into that so-called automated trucking. That's such a lie. They're messing with our morale, and it's not true, and they can't even do it. I want to see them teach that machine how to take a ditch whenever there's a busload of kids in front of it. Yeah, they'll never teach it that, and it can't see it. Let's see here. Story I was hearing was it happened near Alaska in our waters, and one of our subs was sunk. What gives? Yeah, that was a lie, I believe, perpetuated by some people that were in the Israeli army, who put that up on their website, and I told what that was. I'll type it in the description, their little website, and people want to try to break news by using them. You got to have things confirmed. I don't break news, I just talk about it once it's already there. I'm cool with the official version. I'm just going to tell you that I ain't buying a fire. You know, something happened. Let's see, I think Americans torpedoed Losharik. No, the Kursk torpedoed itself. They already reverse engineered that. I put a link up to a video on the last one on the Kursk. I can do it on this one too. Watch the whole thing and it'll tell you that it was not maintained well, and we stopped using those kind of torpedoes a long time ago, but they use kerosene propelled torpedoes, and then to give it a little bit of a kick, to give it an oxidizer, they use hydrogen peroxide, okay, and they make it, and it's full on hydrogen peroxide. It's really strong, it's dangerous, and it reacts with any metal, and it leaked out of there, reacted with some copper, got hot, and it caught on fire, and it shot the torpedo into the Kursk, setting off at least 4 other torpedoes, blew the thing all to mess, and then that's what happened there. And then the 28 hid in the back, and then their breather and apparatus that was chemical touched some oil, and that caught a fire too. And then let's see, Gary Pace high, and not Alaska, Barents Sea. Yeah, the Barents Sea. So people, I appreciate you showing up. I just wanted to bring this to light, that it was absolutely in the Barents Sea. They would not have been able to have towed that thing within 24 hours, as busted up as it was or whatever, all the way from Alaska over to there. I looked in the route from Moscow up to that place where it's at, that base they have up there near Norway, was something like 21 or 24 hours to drive it. These things in the ocean, one of them kind of like, you know, half full of water, and them being careful with it, there's no way from Alaska to there in 24 hours. There's no way. It's a 24-hour drive almost from Moscow up to there. That's not stopping. These people have to navigate, even though they go under ice and stuff. You look at the route, I don't know how many miles it is from Alaska, air miles, even if it was perfect, but they have to go in and out of crevasses and stuff, caverns. From Alaska over to Norway, you do the math. There's no way. They couldn't have physically pulled it off even if they had a good moving sub, I don't think. I really don't. So, but that's my take on this. People seem to like the information I gave earlier because this super secret, you know, named after a Soviet era cartoon character, the toy horse made of balloons. I'd like to see a picture of that. That's what I had to find. But people seem to like my intel that I put up because they had nothing before, and then it comes out that it's likely that. But right now, it's in Severomorsk, and they're going to investigate it. They'll probably never put pictures up because Putin's already said it's classified, it's classified, it's classified. You won't see this anywhere. Now, you can check out, there's some places that will show you the parent sub, some info on those. But this one, and it's titanium. All those balls are made of titanium. I believe that's an outer steel hull. Out here is a steel hull on the outside, and a fire's not going to go through steel like that. It's not going to go through titanium like that. Something breached the hull from the inside or the outside, and if they're messing with putting mines down, I think it bit them. That's all I got for you. Y'all want to make comments? Go ahead. I'll play a little bit of music for a sec, and then after that, you know, I'm gonna get out of here. Let's see if I can get everything to the rear, right, and the rear. Let's see what we got here. I don't know. Let's see volume. I gotta do what I can so they can't Spotify it, you know. So, somebody make a comment, wave your hand in the air, let me know y'all are good, and I'm gonna get off this thing, people. It's been a day and a half, okay? Kind of worn out, and I will be doing another live where I'll show the laptop and show some pictures of it. If anybody's got theories, you can bring them in. And I appreciate the 3 likes, and I know I've had some people in and out, and I'll put this up as a video and you can watch it from the start. I hope this was a little bit more of a cap on the end of it and a little more informative. Don't believe everything you see and half of what you hear on the internet, and I'm hoping I'm not fixing to get hit, because for real and no lie, I'm seeing flashing lights. I hate it when they do that. Made me think I'm about to get hit. People want to get off this thing, I might have to direct traffic. See here. Thanks, brother. Yeah, anytime, man. I'm just putting up what I see, man. This is Operation Hot Biscuit. And if you hear of any kind of something that a trucker should know about, active shooters on the loose, bridges down, any kind of a high-speed chase or low-speed chase, anything that could cause us havoc and trouble that you don't think we're getting notified about, make a comment on one of my other videos. If it says that it lets it through, great. If it's comment by approval only, I won't see it. So as long as it lets it through, I'll see it, and I'll find it, and I'll do a Trucker Newsnet about it. But this is Operation Hot Biscuit. This will let you know what's going on in the world, and stuff they should tell you, but yeah, you might not catch it. And they put it in obscure places in the internet, and then later 10 years, hey, we told you about it. Well, yeah, you kind of did, but nobody found that link. So we're sharing news. We're digital soldiers here. So need an operation name. Operation Hot Biscuit. Appreciate y'all showing up. Hope you liked it. And that's it. I'm out of here. I'm gone, people. You're still here? You're still here. Go home. Okay. I'm out. Peace.